Hey everyone. If you thought golf was a monotonous sport to play on Sunday mornings, Super Battle Golf has arrived to prove exactly the opposite. Released this February 2026 by developer Brimstone, this title transforms the green fairways into a literal war zone for up to 8 simultaneous players. Grab your clubs and get ready, because here are 10 things about the development and behind the scenes of Super Battle Golf that they didn't tell you. 4.5 months. Think about that for a second. While most major studios spend years polishing a single game system and still deliver something broken at launch, a team of 13 people spread across Europe and Southeast Asia got Super Battle Golf up and running in less than 5 months. This is the kind of thing that makes you question everything you believe about game development. And look, remote work in game dev is already complicated when everyone is in the same time zone. Now imagine coordinating art, programming, level design, and audio between people who are literally on the other side of the planet from each other. Someone is finishing work while another is still having breakfast. This type of operation requires absurd synchronization, and they clearly pulled it off. What impresses me isn't just the speed, but what this deadline says about the project's vision. When you have 4.5 months, there's no time to mess around with unnecessary features or scope creep. You know exactly what the game needs to be, cut what doesn't work, and execute. There's a clarity of purpose there that many million-dollar budget games simply lack. This is exactly the kind of story I love in the indie world. It's not about money, it's not about the size of the studio, it's about focus and execution. Super Battle Golf might not have been born in a fancy San Francisco office, but it was born from the same energy that created some of the best games you've ever played. The energy of people who had an idea and went after it without excuses. Selling over 100,000 copies in 2 days is the kind of number that changes the conversation instantly. Because it's not just it did well, it's the game hit a lot of people's radar at the same time. And when it happens that fast, you can feel there was a perfect match between timing, word of mouth, and an idea people understood immediately. The craziest part, 400,000 inches, the first week, isn't just launch momentum, it's real traction. It gives me that feeling that people played it, loved it, and immediately went to tell someone, post a clip, recommend it on Discord, or send it to a group chat. These massive jumps almost always come from organic recommendations, when the game becomes a topic of conversation and doesn't have to beg for attention. And I like to look at this from the human side too. For an indie team, a result like this must be a mix of euphoria and panic. Euphoria, because it finally worked in public. And panic, because the whole world shows up at once, testing servers, hunting bugs, asking for updates, and demanding balancing. It's when the game stops being just a project and becomes a daily responsibility. This kind of explosive success is a direct reminder of how a game can blow up when it delivers something that feels fresh, accessible, and shareable. And if Super Battle Golf reached these numbers so early, it's because it hit a spot many people were looking for, even if they didn't know it until they saw the game running. Imagine taking everything you know about real-world golf and throwing it into a blender. No turn taking, no organized rounds, no, hold on, I'm playing. In Super Battle Golf, everyone enters the course at the same time, and the game turns into a circus of crossing swings, shots flying from side to side, and people trying to sabotage everyone else's stroke. This is golf converted into synchronized chaos. What grabs me most is specifically the real-time human factor. It's not just you trying to hit the hole. It's trying to hit the hole while the friend behind you fires a projectile, someone tries to push you off the green, and another sets a trap that makes your ball bounce like it's been electrocuted. It's that feeling that the entire environment is a puzzle piece, and every person there has a way to hinder or exploit the chaos. This creates a different kind of tension. Instead of sitting around waiting for your partner to finish their turn, you're always in the middle of the hurricane, thinking 2 moves ahead, knowing that in 2 seconds, everything could turn upside down. It's a level of pressure that starts to become fun, because you can't take yourself too seriously when you see your chances of a hole-in-one being destroyed by a cannon blast in the middle of the fairway. And yet, in all this chaos, the game maintains a clear golf identity. The objective is still the hole. The course still has obstacles. There's tactics, angles, power. It's just that all of this is measured inside a fighting ring. It's as if the concept of turn-based was kicked out of the game, and the result is an electronic sport that resembles golf but feels closer to an 8-player brawl with a ball. 27 courses might seem like just a nice number at first glance, but when you play Super Battle Golf, that number starts to carry weight in a good way. Each of these courses isn't just a different layout. It's a new way to make you doubt your sanity. You think you've understood the game, and suddenly a course appears that is so creative, it feels like the designer decided to turn golf into a circus trap. What complicates and amuses at the same time is that behind it all is that classic foundation. Sand, lakes, grass, obstacles. Everything you'd expect in golf. Except here, it creates a huge contrast with the chaos the game delivers. It's like the game is saying, you know how to play golf? Cool. Now try doing it without exploding, falling into a mine, or being chewed up by a plant. This mix of familiar and insane is what keeps you hooked for the next course. And every course with landmines, dangerous vegetation, and explosive traps becomes an angling puzzle. It's not just about getting the shot power right. It's calculating how far the ball will roll, where it will bounce, if it will fall into the lake, or if it will detonate a mine that affects everyone. It's the kind of game that makes you stop, think, laugh, and then, a second later, take a massive hit from a trap you didn't see. At the same time, 27 courses like this give you the feeling that you won't get bored quickly. Even when you start to master certain types of obstacles, the game throws you into a new stage that mixes everything up again, with new traps, new placements, and new ways to sabotage others. It's golf, but with the face of a crazy minigame, where every hole is a new story of scares, laughter, and frustration, and you always end up wanting to see which course will surprise you most. Mentioning golf and orbital laser in the same sentence should sound completely ridiculous, and that's exactly what makes the weapons so memorable. The game isn't content with just turning the course into a playground of obstacles. It hands you an arsenal of things that have nothing to do with traditional sports, but everything to do with controlled chaos. It's as if, in the middle of a chill game, someone turned on a combat satellite and said, now things get real. The orbital laser, for example, is the kind of weapon that gives you chills just imagining it. It's the instant apocalypse button. The one that erases the enemy in such an absurd way that you almost feel guilty using it. But at the same time, you want to test it all the time. Then there's the heat-seeking rocket launcher, which turns into a game of cat and mouse, where you try to track your opponent, they try to dodge, and the rest of the group laughs, while everyone becomes a moving target. And then you have things like the air horn, which seems silly until your friend's first perfect stroke is completely ruined because you simply pressed a button that creates a whirlwind of sound. It doesn't kill, it doesn't explode, but it interferes in such an unfair way that it's a joy to use. Ultimately, these weapons aren't just combat tools, they are social interaction tools. You'll always remember the crazy person who destroyed you with a homing rocket while you were trying to make a quiet putt. Finally, the dueling pistol adds a layer of drama that wasn't necessary but is perfect. It's the kind of weapon that makes the game feel a bit more serious, as if for a second everything stops and the game turns into a golf western. The rest of the time, the game is chaos, but in the moment of the duel, you feel like you're about to decide someone's fate with a single shot. It's exactly this contrast between absurd setups and moments of tension that makes Super Battle Golf's arsenal feel so unique. There's something very liberating about knowing your character is practically indestructible. You enter the Super Battle Golf course with the awareness that explosions, shots, and hits are just an inconvenience, not the end. It's that mentality of, okay, they hit me, but I'm still here, which, curiously, completely changes how you play. You start taking more risks, jumping into the middle of the chaos without fear because you know you'll walk out the other side. This design decision is smarter than it looks at first glance. If every shot eliminated a player, the game would turn into a festival of camping and conservative plays, with everyone afraid to expose themselves. By making the golfers made of iron, the game forces everyone to stay on the field in the middle of the action without the option of hiding and waiting for the other to mess up. The stun is enough to get in the way, but not to take anyone out of the game, and that's exactly where the chaos becomes fun. What I find fascinating is that with this system, water and the orbital laser become the only real threats in the game, creating a very clear hierarchy of danger. You can take a rocket to the face and still continue your play, but stepping wrong into the lake eliminates you for real. This makes the course itself, not the weapons, the greatest constant threat. It's almost an inversion of what you'd expect. The terrain kills, the violence just hinders, and the orbital laser gains a completely different weight within this context. Because in a game where absolutely nothing truly eliminates you, the orbital laser becomes such a brutal exception that it feels unfair, and that's what makes it so psychologically powerful. When someone pulls out that item, the whole field stops. There's a moment of collective silence before the destruction that wouldn't exist if any other weapon could do the same. This rarity of actual elimination is what makes the laser so memorable and so hated at the same time. One of the things I love most about Super Battle Golf is that it doesn't try to pretend it's a serious sport. When the game lets you swap a normal club for a chicken leg or a fish, it's already warning you. Here, the goal is to hit the ball and laugh along the way. And honestly, this kind of blatant identity is what makes the game stick in your memory. Because it's not just to look pretty cosmetics. These absurd custom clubs become part of the match's personality. You look at your character swinging a traffic sign as if it's the most natural thing in the world, and instantly the mood changes. People get looser, more provocative, more in the spirit of a mess. It's that detail that transforms an ordinary round into a story you'll tell later. And there's a special charm when the item is completely ridiculous, like an absurdly tall giraffe head. This messes with how you see the game. You stop looking for that perfect posture and start playing in let's see what happens mode. For me, this is the point where Super Battle Golf separates itself from any traditional golf experience and fully embraces the party game side. In the end, these clubs are a reminder that the game wants to entertain you all the time, even in the moments when you're just moving between one play and another. And the more exaggerated the look, the easier it is to get into the mood of chaos and friendly rivalry. I love it when a game shamelessly assumes it's absurd, and Super Battle Golf does this right from the club selection. You start with something normal, standard, and suddenly you realize you can drop the traditional club to hold a giant chicken leg. At that moment, the game practically looks at you and says, relax, this is just for fun. And that totally changes how you enter the match. Playing with a fish as if it were a club is the kind of visual gag that never gets old. Every time the character raises the fish to take a serious shot, the contrast between the sporty animation and the ridiculous object breaks any overly competitive atmosphere. You still want to win, of course, but it's impossible not to laugh when someone misses badly using a slippery fish as a professional tool. The traffic sign already enters that territory of cartoonish humor that looks like it came out of an animation. It's heavy, it's clumsy, and for that very reason, it's perfect for the game's chaos. And when the famous ridiculously tall giraffe head appears, that's when things go from comedy to full-on caricature. The character's silhouette changes, the club takes up half the screen, and just by looking at it, you already feel like the match is going to become a collection of funny clips. The cool thing is that these custom clubs aren't just for show. They help create identity within the group. There's always that one friend who will adopt the chicken leg forever, another who swears they play better with the fish, and the crazy one who chooses the giraffe just to draw attention. In the end, this freedom to be ridiculous fits perfectly with the spirit of the game. A golf where the fun isn't looking like a professional, but having the most fun possible with the absurdity on screen. Having the overwhelmingly positive badge on Steam is like winning a platinum medal of honor in front of the entire gaming community. With a 95% approval rating, Super Battle Golf has entered that select group of titles that almost everyone who bought it ended up truly loving. It's the kind of number that speaks for itself and shows that the chaotic fun the game promises in trailers is faithfully delivered when you finally take control. And look, we're not talking about just a few people. There are over 2,800 reviews from people who actually stopped what they were doing to praise the game. When an indie project reaches this volume of feedback, you realize it's not just a passing success, but something that created a real connection with those who play. It's this validation that separates games that are just cool from those instant classics that we feel we need to recommend to all our friends. Another point that really wins me over is the fact that it is Steam Deck verified, which is essential for someone like me who doesn't compromise on portability. If you like the convenience of playing an indie while lying on the couch or anywhere else, knowing that the performance is solid on the handheld makes all the difference. This shows an incredible technical care from the team in ensuring the experience is fluid and accessible on any screen, without those annoying stutters that ruin the mood of the match. These data points serve as a seal of trust for those who are still unsure if it's worth investing their time and money. It's like receiving that perfect recommendation from a friend. You go in without fear because you know the fun is guaranteed by general consensus. Seeing a chaotic golf game get so much spotlight only proves that creative ideas, when well executed, always find their place at the top of our favorites lists. Having native voice chat inside the game is what I call fuel for the chaos. In an era where almost everyone relies on external apps to communicate, having the audio right there, ready to use the moment the match starts, completely changes the dynamics. You don't need invites or annoying settings. The barrier between you and the jokes simply ceases to exist, allowing interaction to be instantaneous and much more organic. The true magic of this feature appears at the time of betrayal. There is no price that can pay for hearing your friend's cry of indignation at the exact second you decide the best use for your orbital laser is there, head. This immediate feedback transforms every play into a shared memory, where a good-natured insult or the laughter of someone who just ran you over with a golf cart gives a life to the game that text or silence could never deliver. Furthermore, the freedom to move between public and private servers opens up a range of very different experiences. In private rooms, the vibe is family war, with inside jokes and vendettas that last all night. In public servers, the game becomes a true Wild West, where you interact with strangers and never know if you'll find a partner in crime or your newest archenemy. This unpredictability is what keeps interest renewed with each new session. Integrated voice chat is what injects soul and personality into Super Battle Golf. Without it, the game would still be mechanically fun, but with it, it becomes a hilarious and genuinely treacherous social event. It's the kind of feature that proves the best part of a multiplayer game isn't just winning, but having the opportunity to laugh at others' misfortunes and celebrate the chaos together with whoever is playing, be it a longtime friend or someone you just met on the green.